Welcome to the castle, everybody. This is Nightsaber Z42, and this is Character Vault, where I go through the whole process of creating a character in various tabletop RPGs. And today, we're going to be creating a character for Death in Space, which has been released recently. Death in Space takes you to the grimy blue-collar future of a dying universe filled with risk and opportunity, where technology is broken and dirty and society is harsh and desperate. So let's crack this book open and let's take a look at what we need for creating a character. Now, I do absolutely love the fact that they included not just one, but two ribbons. But do you really need both? Anyways, whatever. So getting started, this is the first official chapter. There is an introduction chapter, but let's be real, it's not really much of a chapter. And then we have character creation. So you're obviously going to need the Death in Space character sheet, which I had to look through online on the Death in Space website. You're going to need quite a few number of dice. You're going to need D4s, D6s, and some D20s, depending on if you want to do things more randomly or not. It's your choice. I will be opting to go the random route because that makes things a little bit more fun and unique for me, especially for these types of videos. And of course, you're going to need your handy dandy pencil. I am going to be a bad boy today, and I'm going to use a pen because that's what I found. Anyways, so for character creation, there are 6 different steps, and they are listed here. You're going to go through your abilities. There's only 4 abilities this time around, and we're going to have to roll for those. You're going to determine your origin or roll for your origin. Create some character details like your background trait, what drives your character. You're going to have some character details like their looks, your past allegiance, because this game takes place after some ginormous war, and so you have some sort of allegiance that you withheld during that war, which is now over, by the way. And then you're going to determine your hit points and defense rating. And that's it. Take a look at that. That kind of really looks like Borderlands to me. Starting gear, and then your starting bonus if your ability scores suck, which hopefully ours won't. And that also entails getting a personal trinket for us. And then that's actually it. So let's take a look at our character sheet while we're here. This is 2 pages. I decided to print it off on one. And it does look a little grimy and dirty. That is the actual aesthetic of the character sheet. So if you were to look really closely, you see like stains and stuff. But anyways, at the very top, you have your personal information, like your origin and all of that stuff, your abilities. Remember, there's only 4, so yeah. If you're really good enough to draw, which I am not, hit points, defense rating, which thankfully it tells you how to calculate those. Your current stats like void points, which I'll go over in depth in the review, any cosmic mutations that you have or your void corruption, life support from your suit, personal belongings, and the condition that they are in. That is very important in this game. Condition is always a factor because everything is old. Nothing is being made brand new. Any small items that you have and your weapons and how much damage it does, as well as the condition and all of that stuff. Hollows are your currency for this game, so you're not carrying around like little hollow discs with like, some dance or anything like that. It's the currency. And any notes that you take are at the bottom. All right. So that's everything that you need, and those are all the steps for making a character for Death in Space. So let's actually get down to rolling some ability scores. In Death in Space, there are 4 abilities. You have Body, which is bodily strength and physical resistance and melee attacks. You have Dexterity, which entitles your reflexes, poise, and speed. Then you have your Savvy, which is kind of weird. It's like your perception, intuition, psychological resistance, and piloting your spacecraft. And then you have your Tech, which is understanding and operating anything that's technology-wise, but it's also what you use for ranged attacks. like shooting guns and stuff, which I thought was really interesting. Anyways, in order to calculate your ability score, you're going to roll 2d4, one at a time. The ability value is the first roll minus the second one. I'm actually going to be taking the alternative route here because I have two d4s and they are very different. One is a green color, the other one is a purpley color. So my green one is going to be my first dice. My purpley one is going to be the one that I subtract from my green. And yes, you might have some negatives in your ability scores. And these are basically your modifiers. So whenever you roll a d20 to do anything, like let's say I have a -1 in body, I roll my d20 and then I would take one off of that d20 roll. So yeah, super happy fun time. So let's get to rolling. Got my 2d4. So I have 4, and then hey, I got the best roll possible, and that's going to be for body. So I rolled a 1. Sorry, I rolled a 4 on my green, which is my first, and subtract the 1 from my purple, which makes 3. Awesome. And don't forget to differentiate your pluses and your minuses, by the way. We got 3 more. Next up is dexterity. Same thing. My green is my first. My purple is my second. 2 and 3. Ooh, that's a -1 for dexterity. So we got some body. We've been working now with the muscles, but unfortunately, we're not so dexterous. All right, for savvy, let's get something good, please. 1 and a 3. So that's a -2. Now I should kind of point out, since I'm rolling poorly now, as you level up, you can actually increase your ability scores. So there is that. Uh-oh. 1 and 1. Whew. So that equals out to 0, which I guess is the best thing for us. So maybe we want to be like a melee wielding dude or something like that. So that's our ability scores. Next up, we are going to roll for our origin. Your origin is essentially like your class. So we're going to roll a d6 because there are 6 different origins, and then we get to pick one of the 2 benefits. Now each origin has 2 benefits, and we're going to pick one of those. Let's see, I got my dice ready. But let's go over what these origins are. And the text is very difficult to read. I don't know whose idea it was to put dark blue on a black paper, but it doesn't work. So our first one is carbon. Grown in space-based exowombs, short lifespans, live their lives off-world and are untroubled by the darkness of space, more comfortable in an EVA suit than out of one. So their 2 abilities are engineered lungs, which use half oxygen compared to everyone else, 1 step for every 2 normal steps. Or gearhead, repair twice as fast. Second, we have chrome, which is an ancient AI placed in a body vessel of organic material. Part machine, but with an organic CPU and a distributed neural system that requires oxygen. Their 2 abilities are native machine, which is you can converse with computers as if they were real people. Woo! Plug in and find a friend. Or body battery. You can use your body to power one small electrical device, such as a handheld item, which is also very interesting. Third, we have punk, rebellious and nonconformist with a long history. They have seen civilizations collapse and others turn against each other. Their 2 abilities are stubborn, you never give up, reroll any dice roll once per session, or green thumb. You know everything about plants and what to use them for. You start with a pocket greenhouse and some random seeds. Now, honestly, I would have never associated a punk with a green thumb, but hey, I guess in this universe it could work. Fourth, we have soul pod, hibernating for decades, only staying awake for short periods. They dedicate their lives to the scientific study of slow cosmic phenomena. Their 2 abilities are long-lived. You have an old and useful contact in every port, or old tech. You have a portable hibernation pod. Regenerates lost limbs, prevents aging, and the need to eat. Powered by starlight. Fifth, we have velocity cursed, ill-fated ones that have started to lose their connection to reality. They shift and flicker in and out of space-time with glitching faces. Their two abilities are future memory. You have already been here. Once per session, ask the referee for directions. Or Pocket World. You start with a portable non-fizz server, housing a virtual reality where you store memories to connect the past and future of your life. Up to 10 users can connect simultaneously. And last but not least, for number 6, we have Void. Robed nihility shamans, hidden behind masks, speaking through synthetic voice scramblers. They have seen visions of the edge of the universe. Their two abilities are Voice of the Void. You can make nearby electronics emit static and crackling whispers, or Masked. You have a mask that you can reshape during rest into the resemblance of another face or mask. At a distance, it fools most. So I have my D6 here, and we are going to roll that and see what we luck into. Ooh, just what I was hoping for. Void. All right, so let's go ahead and write that, or actually mark that off. So our origin, hey, it's first right here, Void. And let's see. Do we want Voice of the Void, or do we want Masked? I kind of like the idea of just having a mask over your face and just kind of, walking around with somebody else's face. I think that would be pretty cool. Now, of course, it's not going to work when they're up close and personal, but I think it would be pretty cool, to kind of stealth things. So we have mask, and I'm just going to write that there. And now, of course, I will go ahead and reference the page number just in case. So that is it for our origin. It's nice and super simple. Now let's talk about our character details. To determine your background, trait, drive, and looks, roll or choose one of them from the tables or invent your own. These help determine who you are and add color to your player character. Finally, give your player character a name. So we are going to need d20s all around for each of these tables, which I happen to have right here. So let's start with our background. An 8. So our background is Gravity Swindler. Whatever that means. I'll have to think on that and kind of play around with what that could entail. Some of these are very open-ended, by the way, so use your imagination. Next off, we have trait. A 12. So we are nearsighted. Well, it's a good thing that, I guess if we're nearsighted, that means we have trouble looking closely. So having people look at us from afar kind of would seem very awkward. Next, we have our drive. A 4. We have heritage. So our drive is our heritage. It almost makes me think of a noble in some sort of a way. All right, our looks. 19. Decorated cape. Hey, that actually kind of is going to go along with the thumb that I had already envisioned for this character, so that's all right. And that is it for character details. So there's only really 4 things that we're looking at: background, trait, drive, and your character details. Of course, you don't have to roll on these tables, and you don't even have to pick any of them that are there. You could always opt to just create your own if you already have something in mind. Next, we're going to take a look at our past allegiance. Some still wear their war uniforms, while others do all they can to forget. Roll or decide your allegiance during the Gem War. Who are you today, and what happens when you are pushed about your past? We're going to need a D6 for this roll, which I have right here, and let's see what we have. A 3, the winning side. You happen to side with the winners, but in the end, did you really win? All right. So we were definitely on the side of the winning side. And of course, as a GM, I would kind of add my own flair to what happened during the gem war and what the sides are and all of that stuff, and give that to my players probably a little bit before so they happen to know what they're getting into. But that's kind of all there is. So let's move on to hit points and defense rating. Hit points and defense rating is also another very short and easy one. So we're going to start with 1d8 maximum hit points, and when you rest, we recover 1d8 plus body hit points. Let's go ahead and knock that one out of the way. And on the character sheet, it does say start with 1d8, and then recover is 1d8 plus your body. So we have 7 hit points. So that's actually a nice number for us. It's not the maximum, but we'll probably survive a little bit longer. For your defense rating, it is going to be 12 plus your dex when you're unarmored. So we're going to have a defense of 11, which is quite bad. Of course, wearing armor will increase our defense, which we'll look at when we get into equipment. Speaking of which, we need to get to our starting gear and starting bonus. First up is going to be our savings. Hollows are the most common form of currency. You start with 3d10 spare hollows. So I got 3d10 right here. Let's go ahead and roll and see how much spare money we have. Let's see, I see 6 plus 3, which is 9, plus 4, which is 13. So we have 13 spare hollows. Not a great sum for us, but hey, at least it's not 3. Next is our item slots. You have 12 plus body item slots. This is the number of items you can carry without negative modifications. Normal items take up 1 item slot. Small items normally do not require any slot, whereas heavy or unwieldy items take up 2 or more slots. So we have a maximum of 15 item slots because our body is plus 3, and 3 plus 12 is 15. Don't believe there is a way to mark that, so I'm just actually going to circle 15 on my personal belongings page. For starting gear, we're going to roll or choose one of the starting kits and a personal trinket. I'm actually going to go ahead and roll for this one, so let's get our D6 out. Now, the different packs are Prospector, Ring Thug, Mercenary, Nomad, Engineer, or Explorer, and they're pretty diverse in what they offer. We have the Prospector, which has a handheld material analyzer, magnetic boots, breathing mask, 1d6 minutes of air per use, a container with engine grease. So we're going to write all of that on our page. Now, there is something unique that we do need to talk about. There's a starting bonus. So if the sum of your ability scores is negative, we're going to roll 1d6 for a starting bonus. Unfortunately, our abilities equal exactly 0, which is not a negative. So unfortunately, we have to skip that. But we do get to roll for a personal trinket. So let's grab our d20 and let's roll. An 8. We have a small toy figurine depicting ourselves. You know what that kind of makes me think of? It makes me think that we are super popular and we have our own toy line. And that is it for our starting gear and starting bonus. Now, we do not have access to a weapon just yet. That's something that we're going to have to buy on our own with our 13 credits, which is probably not going to happen, unfortunately. But that is all for our character creation. So let's see. Think of a name. We have Del Ronaldo Gregory III. I have to think of a nickname. It was just too much of a strain to think of that name, let's be honest. And we don't have any cosmic mutations. We didn't look into that. We don't have any void points just quite yet, or any void corruption. Our defense is, well, I guess I can write 11 here for when we're unarmored, and I'll write, whenever we get armor, I'll actually write the real number there. We have our belongings, we have our small item, so no weapons just yet. Sure that we'll find like maybe a pipe or something that we can use our body for. Who knows, hopefully. But that is it. That is Death in Space character creation in a nutshell. So feel free to leave a comment down below, give this video a huge thumbs up to support the series, and subscribe if you would like to see more. And I will see you guys in the next video.